Alright YouTube, what is going on? If you watched my last video, I mentioned I was going to be doing a video on my top 10 knives under 50 bucks. I did it a few years ago, probably 3 now, and it's a very, very popular video, and I wanted to do it again as things have certainly changed in the budget world of knives. Pretty dramatically, actually. So that's why I want to do this video, because there's so many good offerings under $50 right now. And one thing that I did when I did this, kind of put this list together and all these knives, not one of these knives use 8CR13 MOV steel, or even AUS 8, or even 420HC. All the steels used in these knives are better steels than that, and that's what's awesome, is that you can get all these knives for under 50 bucks, and they have better than those cheap steels. And if you watch my last video, top 10 under 50, most of those steels, those knives probably had 8CR13 or AUS 8. So things have changed, and it's nice to see companies using higher materials. A lot of it has to do with the fact that steel has become cheaper. Certain steels like D2, like the Rat 1 is in D2 here, and it used to always be an AUS 8, and then they started making them in D2, and that is a huge upgrade. Huge upgrade. So much better edge retention. It's not a true stainless steel, but it shouldn't rust as long as you take care of it. So let's get into these knives, guys. There's lots of good options on here. There's no particular order. I thought about, do I start in order of, you know, how much they cost? No, I'm just going to run with it. I've got some notes here that I'm going to follow a little bit, kind of what I like about these knives for the money. So the first one I'm going to start with is this guy right here. And this is actually the best steel on the table right now, and one of the best deals as well. Steal of a deal. This is the LA Police Gear. What is the model on this one? I can't even remember. I'll put a link in the description for all these knives so you can purchase them. This is an LA Police Gear knife, and it is made with S35 VN steel. And yes, it is true S35. I did some edge retention testing. Cedric and 8 Outdoors did edge retention. It performed like other models with S35. So this is legit S35 steel. And it is like $35, I believe, 30 to 35 bucks on their website. Now, obviously, I'm not picking these knives just on their steel. Like, that's not, you know, what's going on. This has, it's all about the value here. This has nicely contoured G10 scales, really nicely done. It's got stainless steel liners. This one's like the black wash finish. It's on bearings. It's got a really nice flipping action. The centering's been perfect the whole time I've had it. It was comfortable to use. I did remove the pocket clip. That was one negative that I will give this, is that it has a tip down clip only, and it's super long. If LA Police Gear made this knife with a tip up clip, man, this would be, I mean, there's not a lot of reasons to own other knives. It would be that good. I mean, one other negative issue is, too, as you can see here, is how far the lock bar comes out from the scales. It should be a little more flush than that. It does have some nice jimping there. There is nice jimping on the flipper tab and on the thumb ramp here, which is a great thumb ramp. Overall, an incredibly good knife for the money, guys. 35 bucks for S35 VN steel. Nicely contoured G10 scales. You can't even, most of the knives on here don't have, well, I guess quite a few have G10, but some of these don't, like the Rat 1, for example, or these stainless steel models. So you get G10 and a high-end steel for 35 bucks. That has to be included. Even though the pocket clip sucks and they've just removed it completely, it is still a great knife. If you can get past the tip-down only clip, I mean, come on, 35 bucks for that steel is awesome. All right. So the next one on the list, no particular order again, and this is one of my favorites. I reviewed this on the channel already, is the Rake is how you say it, P801SF. This, guys, is under 30 bucks. You get a bearing pivot with 14C 28N steel. Very good Sandvik steel. The knife is very well put together. It uses, you'll watch my video, I'll link a description of I disassembled the knife and showed that it uses a bearing, a bushing pivot, pivot bushing, excuse me, along with the bearings. The only knife that I know of, and there may be others that I have a lot of familiarity with, is the Chris Reeve Semenza uses a pivot bushing. To see one on a knife for $30, it's ridiculous. Like, I was like, what? So great flipping action on this. You get a nice slim design, nice fit and finish, good jimping, nicely. It's a thinly ground blade. It's got a nice deep carry pocket clip that's anodized, a blue color. You've got a blue pivot collar here, just to add a little touch. You got a blue thumb stud. I mean, it looks like an expensive knife. I mean, from a distance, you'd be like, that's a nice titanium flipper. I like that. It's actually stainless steel. It has not been skeletonized, excuse me. So it's a good weight. It's not too heavy. I don't know the exact specifics. I'm not going to go into all the details of each knife. That would take way too long. But I will put a link in the description. But it is a pretty lightweight knife. It's nice and slim. Just a great EDC for under 30 bucks. Even if I did this video under 30, this knife would qualify. It's crazy the knife you can get for 30 bucks these days, because it literally blows everything else out of the water. The Kershaw, CRKT, you know, they're using some good designs there, but the steel quality is just crap compared to this. I mean, you get the same on the US-made Kershaw Skyline and on this knife. So, awesome knife, the P801 SF, 30 bucks. Highly, highly recommend this knife. All right. The only con I gave this knife, lots of positives, is that it's got some stainless, it's like some slick handles. I mean, it's just like a titanium frame lock though. It's got such good ergonomics and good grip that jimping, it's not gonna slide. It was a nitpicky con just because I couldn't find much wrong with the knife. So, all right, next one up is the Ontario Rat 1, the classic budget folder, the reigning king of budget folders in most people's eyes. You could get these for 25 bucks before with Aus-8 steel. They had, you know, just a good ergonomics, just a really nice beefy blade. It's the biggest knife on the table here. It's 5 inches closed, and it has a nice smooth action on phosphorus bronze washers. Just flies out of there. Great thumb studs. Doesn't need a lot of recognition. Then they just go ahead and say, hey, we're gonna make this knife with D2 steel now. What? And it's still under 50 bucks. It was like 40 something dollars, and I bought this right off Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. Crazy that you can get D2 steel on a Rat 1 for under 50 bucks. Then SE followed, and they're made in the same factory, Blue Ridge knives. The SE Avispa, the SE Zancudo, all available in D2. I chose the Rat 1. It's the most iconic. I like the ergonomics better on this knife. I can't wait for the Rat 2, because this knife's still a little big for EDC in my opinion. The Rat 2 is coming out in D2 later this year, so keep an eye out for that, because it'll be under 50 bucks as well, and you'll get a D2 and a nice little EDC knife, not very big. Other con on these is not so a huge fan of the nylon handles. It's very slick. They do have a carbon fiber, but it's kind of like that G10 carbon fiber laminate, and it's also slick. I would have loved to see them upgrade to G10. I think that would make this by far the best knife for the money, but still excellent. You get a great steel. The nylon handles aren't too bad. They're not, you know, super slick. The ergonomics work well enough, and I can't wait for the little small Rat 1 or excuse me, Rat 2 to come out in that steel. So Ontario Rat 1 D2. Next one up is a Bird knife made by Spyderco. This is their real budget line. They have a budget line and they have the Bird line. The thing about the Bird line is usually you're getting 8CR13 and not very good materials. There's a few models that are pretty well known. This one, however, kind of blew my mind, because you get BD1 steel, you get nice G10 handles, great ergonomics. You have the Bird hole, which works just as well as the Spidey hole for the middle finger flick, by the way. And it is got a phenomenal action. It's got great ergonomics, and you get a huge step up from 8CR13 to BD1. BD1 was used on some cold steels. It's a huge upgrade there too. I mean, it's got some pretty good edge retention. Not quite as good as D2, but better even than 14C28N. And you get, you know, tip down, up and down, left to right carry. I mean, you got all the different options. It's got skeletonized liners. This is under 50 bucks again. And you got BD1 steel, nice smooth action, good lockup. I mean, it's a larger knife, not too big. It's smaller than the Rat 1. Get those two side by side and show you the handle difference. Pretty good, substantial. But the BD1 steel is what they use on the Manix 2 lightweight, and that thing's like 80 bucks. No, yeah, it's about 70, 80 bucks. So you get a Bird knife with G10 even and BD1 for under 50 bucks. Had to be included on the list. Great ergonomics on this guy. Nice jimping on the thumb wrap. It's got a pretty substantially thick blade stock for a Spyderco, but it's still a good slicer. Nice and sharp. I mean, just a very good budget model for the money. Can't believe it's under 50 bucks. So that's the Bird Raven 2. The only a negative I would say versus maybe the Rat and some of the others is it uses Teflon washers versus phosphorus bronze. I've actually never had a problem with Teflon if they're done right, but they're not as durable and such as phosphorus bronze. So that would be a nice upgrade, but still you're under 50 bucks there with the Bird, or the Bird Raven 2. Next up is the Kershaw Skyline, the only knife on the table made in the USA, and it's still under 50 bucks. You can get these for 40 bucks on Amazon. It's a classic design. Flips fantastic for being on washers, phosphorus bronze as well. They've gone to like I haven't bought a Skyline in a while, and they went to a stonewash finish on these. I remember the stonewash only being on like some sprint runs, and it used to be satin, so they're all stonewash. Nice flipping action for fantastic ergonomics, 14C 28N steel, made in the USA. The only knife, like I said, you're going to find for under 40 bucks made in the USA that has any kind of decent steel anyway. I can't even think of another one. The only bad thing about the Skyline is this clip. If you're a tip down guy, great. If you want to go tip up, you're talking like a huge portion of the knife sticking out. Now they do make MXG Gear and a few other vendors make an aftermarket deep carry clip that gives you tip up carry, and you do that and you got like pretty much the perfect little EDC knife. Just great ergonomics. Just a classic knife. Great slicer, nice thin blade stock. And you can still get these for under 50 bucks. It's kind of mind-blowing that Kershaw still makes these for that cheap when some of their other knives are over $50 and they don't even have as good a steel. And it's just crazy. So for what you can get, a 8CR13 Chinese-made Kershaw, you can pretty much get a US-made with 14C28N. There's no reason to buy those. The Skyline is better. So it's a classic knife. It's an EDC Hall of Famer. I mean, it doesn't really need much notification, but you can get them under $40. Or right around $40. I think it was 41 bucks. So under that $50 mark. Alright. Next one up is the Real Steel E571. Real Steel has a ton of good options in this. It was hard to choose one Real Steel. This is the one I chose. I had some good experience with this one before. I really like it. To me, it's like the rake, excuse me. Very, very similar knife. The rake's a little smaller, and the rake's quite a bit less expensive. It's a better buy. But the Real Steel is fantastic. You get a nice deep carry clip. You get the nice stainless steel frame lock. It's got super good ergonomics. Nice jimping up here. Just fits your hand really nicely. It's kind of a smaller knife. I would call it a medium size, not necessarily small. Fantastic flipping action on bearings. You have this, what they call the alpha lock, I believe, where you can slide that and lock the frame lock in. It's kind of gimmicky. Whatever on that. But 14C28N steel. Great flipper. One of the best options under 50 bucks you can get. Fantastic. Real Steel has a lot of good designs in this price range. The HS6 is a really good one that I almost put in here. Some of their stuff they're using the same steel is priced a little high for comparatively to these, but this still is under $50 on Amazon, so I'll put a link in the description. E571. Not really any negatives on this guy. I mean, you think it's a titanium frame lock. It looks fantastic. Perfect centering. Nice open pillar construction. Contoured handles even. I mean, just great knife for the money. So that's under 50 bucks as well. Alright, we're getting into some new models here. This next one is the Tangram Santa Fe, which I did a review on, and it's fantastic. I'll link in the description to my actual review of this knife. Had to include it. It was 25 bucks on Amazon when I bought it, but I think it's 30 right now. 440 Akuto steel, which is essentially 440C, maybe even a titch better. Kind of just Japanese 440 essentially. Nice deep carry clip, nice G10 scales, super smooth action on phosphorus bronze washers. It's a good slicer. Again, I'll have a more detailed review on this knife, but it has been one of those budget offerings that I'm like, you guys got to go pick this up. I highly recommend it. It feels like a much nicer knife for the money, and it's like seriously under $30. So the Tangram Tangram, or I'm not sure how you say it, Santa Fe. It's Kaiser's new budget model line. They're going to be bringing out more of these knives in that price range, and they're doing fantastic. Really thin behind the edge, good slicer. Good fit and finish, and it's under 30 bucks. So you can't go wrong with the Tangram Santa Fe. Next up is the Tech Cut Zero. This is a really kind of unknown knife to me. When I was putting this list together, I asked for some recommendations, and this was one that was recommended to me by a good buddy of mine in the knife community for a long time, SharpDad33 on Instagram, Patrick, and he said it's a really great lightweight EDC, and it's gonna, you know, the fit and finish is gonna kind of surprise you for the money, and it absolutely does. It's around 25 bucks on Amazon, and it is super thin. It's just G10, but it does have a nested liner lock, and it's really well done. This is the green G10, also comes in black, and it has some nice contouring on the G10. Lightweight, nice deep carry clip with some open pillar construction. The steel on this guy is 12C27 steel. So very similar Sandvik steel, something that Mora uses, and I think Kershaw used to use back in the day. They went up to the 14C28N. So I would say it's a step down slightly from that, but not bad at all. Super lightweight, weighs like 2.5 around, right around 2 ounces, maybe a little bit more. Nicely ground blade, just a really good cutter, and it's nice and lightweight. The clip is interesting. It's on phosphorus bronze washers as well. The clip is interesting because it telescopes, so it carry, but then you can kind of even go even more and kind of conceal carry. I don't know why. It's actually kind of a negative in my opinion. I wish they would have just left the deep carry clip the way it was and just kind of secured it, because sometimes you can accidentally kind of push that up, I noticed. That would be the one negative I would give on this knife, but 25 bucks, guys. Nice, super smooth action, nice snappy detent, nice G10 scales, good steel in this budget line for around $25. I mean, it had to be included, the Tech Cut Zero. Very good. It's kind of like a Kershaw Leak and a I don't know, what else? Kind of a mix of two knives, maybe the Skyline, I don't know. Very cool knife. 25 bucks. Had to be included. Alright, next one up, and we're going to get 17 minutes already, jeez. This one is the steel wheel cut jack. This is the premium model. Now, the one I'm doing for this video is the D2 FRN model, and I used to have it, and I sold it, regret it, and now I can't find them. They're not available. They were available for a long time, and I don't know, they're doing another batch of them. They will be coming out soon, so they are under 50 bucks. They're like $42 for the steel cut jack. This is the cut jack mini, which they're going to have an FRN, a D2, and then they're going to have the full-size cut jack, which is what I had, and it's an absolutely fantastic knife for the money. Bearing pivot. The only difference between this premium model and the cut jack 2, or the cut jack, is that it's got G10 scales. This one doesn't, M390 steel. But they use the same bearing pivot, but these are made in Italy versus the others are made in China. But I'm telling you, I've had both knives, and the ergonomics, everything is identical. It's just FRN and D2 versus G10 M390. So it had to be included. I just couldn't get my hands on one for the video, so I picked up the M390 G10 model, which I love, in the mini. But the cut jack is a fantastic knife for the money. Really good ergonomics, very good slicer. You get D2 steel with FRN handles. And if you want, you can get a premium version with M390 and G10. So, fantastic. But right now, the only con is you can't really find them. They're kind of sold out everywhere. So, if you find one on the secondary market, grab it. It's definitely worthwhile. It belongs on this list, absolutely. And I just couldn't find the D2 one. So, but the Steelwell Cut Jack, I'll put a link. I think Steelwell website actually might have them in stock, as I checked yesterday. And that means they should be trickling out to dealers here soon. Alright guys, we're going to keep this under 20 minutes. We're going to try. I got a minute and 10 seconds. This is a new model that kind of kicked another model off the list. I got it. It hadn't come in the mail. This is a Firebird by Gonzo. And this is the new model of FB7601 OR. This is the orange G10. They also make it in black and carbon fiber and a few. And it is an access lock, but it has bearings. It's super smooth. I mean, look at this action. That's what the pivots, there's no blade play, the pivot's tight, centering's good, super smooth action, really, really good ergonomics on this knife. You've got some nice blue hardware that dresses it up. You got some good jimping here on the thumb ramp as well as the top of the knife. You have nested skeletonized liners here. Guys, it's fantastic for the money. It's 440C steel, which is below D2 and even I think the 14C28N, but it's still got G10, nice grippy G10, not too grippy. You got a deep carry clip, fantastic action. If you like the access lock and can't afford a Benchmade, this one is actually smoother than any Benchmade I've had. In fact, I've got one on me, and we're gonna exceed the 20-minute mark here. This is the bug out that I did, and it's smooth, but I definitely give this a smoothness nod. So it's a pretty good sized knife. It's a little bit smaller than, it's probably more like the Bird here. Actually, the Bird is a titch smaller, so it's one of the larger knives here. It is smaller than the D2 Route 1 though, by a little bit. But you get really good materials here, and this was 20 bucks, $22 maybe. I'll put a link in the description to the U.S. distributor. You don't have to worry about getting these overseas. There is a U.S. distributor in California. I believe it's called Power Customs or something like that. I'll put a link in the description if you want to get one of these Gonzo Firebird knives. It's really fantastic for the money. It's pretty hard to beat. I know that Benchmade's patent on the axis lock is out, so people kind of get up in arms about them using it, but I don't believe the patent's still active, so they kind of can't, you know, do much there. But you got nice satin finish. They come in a coated blade. I don't typically like doing Gonzo, these kind of knives, because they tend to clone a lot of knives, but this one is a pretty unique model. I haven't seen a Benchmade that looks like this, with this kind of handle style, and you know, the only thing you're noticing here on the Benchmade is that it's an axis lock, but like I said, it's on bearings, so it's super smooth and very good ergonomics and just an overall nice knife. So I had to include it because it's $22. I mean, you can't go wrong. If you're on an extreme budget, these are fantastic knives. Nice deep carry clip. It doesn't look like it's reversible. It's not, so it's right hand tip up only carry on this guy. But overall, a great knife for 20 bucks. So there you go, guys. There's 10 knives under 50 bucks. Great for the holidays. If you're looking for gift ideas for your loved ones, if you're a girlfriend, have a boyfriend that loves knives, and you're on a budget, you want to spend under $50 for a gift, you got 10 awesome options right there. Thanks for watching, guys. All links will be in the description below, and we'll see you on the next video.